Hey, this is just a quick note to let you know that Team Champs 2025 has been sponsored by City Strength. You're probably already familiar with City Strength. They're Australia's exclusive retailer for SBD, but they also sell a broader range of strength and powerlifting related equipment. So, a big thanks to City Strength for sponsoring our competition this year. And I hope you enjoy this episode.
Yep, easy. Sounds good.
G'day, everyone. I'm here with David Barros of Elevate, one of the coaches of one of the teams competing in this year's Challengers bracket at TSF Team Champs. A renaming from last year, or is that the year before? It's all blurred.
A little bit of a rebranding. Last year was DBHP, so I think a few teams now have done a few rebrands. So I thought I'd go with it as well.
It's a trendy thing. Just come up with a new brand and new name. Well, we'll get into that.
That's right.
But yeah, we're looking forward to chatting to David, obviously, who is an experienced. I was going to say coach, but also just experienced person at Team Champs. So you've been in numerous capacities, which we'll get
I
into.
dip my toes in a few things.
Yeah, exactly. So, a rebrand. So last year you were DB Health and Performance, and this year you're Elevate. What's the story?
Yeah, I think I might have caught a bit of Victor Liu's meeting as well, where he kind of discussed kind of creating a brand a little bit bigger than himself, and I think that was kind of the main thing with me too. So DBHP was my own name, David Barros Health and Performance, but while originally the brand was me in essence with both health and performance. Now it's just something a little bigger. In the future, I do hope with at least the rehab side of things to have people come on board. And so I wanted to create something that was bigger than myself in essence, and Elevate is short, sharp, and kind of brings a point across where whoever does join the team, it's about elevating the standard and just being better in general.
That was going to be my next question: is what inspired the name Elevate? It's just it kind of symbolizes.
Man, it's hard coming up with a name, honestly. It really is challenging coming up with a good, solid name that's catchy, that's not too long. So I think, look, like I said, Elevate is just simple, easy. It gets the point across, and that's exactly what I wanted out of it. So that's
It's
pretty
funny
much
because you
it.
mentioned. So I'm going to interrupt you, but you mentioned Victor, and who's also done rebrand. You know, it was
Correct.
what was it
Uplift.
before? Blue Lift, and now it's Uplift.
Lou lifts.
Both of you got short, sharp names that are implying upward movement, upward direction. So I don't know if
Yeah,
that's a coincidence or
exactly. Yeah.
maybe it is.
Look, who knows? But yeah, like I said, it gets a point across, and that's what matters. So so that's what the rebrand was all about.
No, excellent. And like I said at the start, you have been involved at Team Champs in a number of capacities. Now, I'm sure a lot of the people lifting at this year's competition will know who you are. You've got your circles, but there might be people that don't realize how involved you've been. So do you want to tell us what because you've been involved in the last two, right?
Yes, I was a lifter in the one prior. So I was originally on Alexander Delaporte's team, 3-point performance. So I was a lifter. And then...
That was in 2023.
Correct, yeah. And then the following year, I brought in my own team under DBHP. So I coached and lifted. So that was an experience that I probably didn't want to do this year again, because I was tempted to compete. And then I was like, look, we've got a few other things going on. Let's save the additional stress of competing on top of coaching and doing all the other things that are happening in life at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to comment on is the fact that your team is a full four, not consisting of yourself.
Correct. So like I said, it was very tempting originally. I had already had a little bit of a gap from doing any training, and the body had been feeling good, and my training looked very different. So I was doing a whole bunch of other different things like attempting to sprint and some power training and stuff like that. And then I was like, all right, sweet, I'm getting the itch again. Let's get it going. And then I had to do the old chippy slap and kind of go, all right, you know what? Maybe it's not the best to get into a 12-week prep for now. Get some lifters in there who are good, who will make a good team, and you can focus on the coaching element. And that's exactly what we've been doing. So yeah,
I liked your term of you making reference to competing and coaching last year.
Mm.
There was a couple of people doing that again this year.
Mhm.
The old lifter coach combo, and you said, "I don't want to do that again." What was the experience like?
Look, to be fair, it was actually really fun. I did love the dynamic of it all. It was the first time that I've ever actually done that, so it was quite an experience in and of itself. But with such a big comp like Team Champs and the excitement of gaining points and the battles within and all that kind of stuff, I do think that it would have been maybe slightly better getting in another lifter and just focusing on the coaching side of things. And by the time last year finished, like I was cooked for a good week or two after that, like just mentally,
I
and
don't
I'm
think you're
sure
the
you
only
would have
one.
been as well, but just
Yeah.
so mentally drained after it. So now with how busy things have been getting, I was like, yeah, okay, it's better just to coach, do that, let the lifters do their thing, and look, maybe in the future do a couple of coaching and lifting competitions. But yeah, with something as big as Team Champs, I thought it would be nice to just see how it would go with dealing with the number of lifters on a big platform. So yeah.
Did you learn anything specifically? Like, for example, because it's not uncommon for people to coach and lift in the same session. Like maybe you're doing a local comp where 3 or 4 of your own clients are just entered into the same comp as well, or maybe you've gone to a nationals, and yeah, you've got a couple of lifters in the same session. Was it something that you like were surprised by, or that you learned from the challenge?
Mm. I think with me, because I've never really had that many lifters in competitions, because I do like quite a few different things. It's not like I have like a huge roster of powerlifting clients. So for me, just having to deal with three lifters on the day plus managing myself, it was its own new challenge. So it was fun trying to deal with that. And then I think the one thing that actually helped me was I was much less nervous about my own lifts. It was like, all right, you're the coach. You have to deal with, these other three fantastic athletes. Make sure that you are in a really appropriate headspace that you can manage them accordingly. And I think it just helped me be less, like I get pretty damn nervous going into comps. I'm sure most people do. But it was easy for me to compete because I had to worry about everyone else. So that was one thing that was interesting. And yeah, just trying to organize a whole bunch of athletes was again another new challenge, because typically when I'm doing local comps or nationals, it's only a couple lifters, maybe 1, 2 lifters. So for me, it's been relatively stress free at events because it's pretty cruisy. But at Team Champs last year, it was a bit of a different ball game. So yeah, it was good fun.
Excellent. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your coaching business is primarily an online kind of service, right? So like your
Now it
community
is,
online
yeah.
online.
Yeah, so up until not too long ago, I was at 3 Point Training in Port Melbourne, which Alex is out of as well. So I was dealing with some in-person coaching there up until recently, and now it's purely online.
And so, how do you go with your? You mentioned as well that you're doing a number of different things. I think what's your rehab side? You're an osteo,
Osteo.
right? So you're doing rehab stuff. You're obviously coaching a bit of strength and powerlifting training. You're also very interested in a more
Mhm.
broader range of training. And you kind of
Mhm.
commented that you don't have a huge powerlifting specific roster. Is it,
Mm.
how is it putting together your team? And is it one where you feel
Mm.
like your team kind of feel like united in that sense? Like, do they know each other well? Or are they living all in Melbourne, or what's the? I mean, we'll get to each of them in
Yeah,
a second, but
yeah. So no, this was a yeah, obviously a very different team to last year. They don't all know each other very well. We've got Ryan Codlin, who lives out in the sticks. We've got Dale Verdon, who was originally a Melbourne local, who's now in New South Wales. We've got Jet, who was down in Tassie, and then I think down in Queensland, and now recently moved to Melbourne. So we have quite a few lifters that are a bit all over the place, and then obviously Fish is a Melbourne local. Um, so everyone doesn't know each other very well, but all have very similar kind of personalities and goals, and I think that's why they all kind of fit in to the Elevate brand and team really nicely. So um, yeah. So yeah, they don't know each other very well, but we've had a few training sessions together. Apart from Dale, because it would be a bit costly getting him down from New South Wales for a few training sessions here. But Yeah, the team's looking good so far, so no complaints.
Awesome, man. I'm excited for it. So let's go through them one by one. You kind of made a brief reference of them, but let's introduce them each, their weight class, what you're expecting from the weight class, a little bit about your background coaching them, and what your
Mm.
hopes and expectations are for each of them, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. So we've got Jet Bolton in the 59 kilo class. He's the sole competitor in that one. So that is great. So a little bit of a stress removed from there in terms of having that competition available. Jet is a very strong individual. I think his dots is somewhere in the 455, maybe even 460-ish, somewhere around there. So it's a bit of a shame that he doesn't have much of a competition with any lifters in this comp, but um, I think he's had that pretty consistently. I mean, being in the 59 kilo class, you're not naturally not going to get many competitors. So I think for him, he's just a very good athlete in a sense where he knows what he needs to do and he competes with himself and he does his thing. So very excited for him, and I think we've had a bit of a chat about what we want out of team champs, what kind of total we're looking for, and just happy to get some points for Team Elevate, and that's
Like you
it.
mentioned, he's the only 59 lifter, not only on the Challengers Day, but in the whole
Yeah,
competition.
correct.
Assuming he doesn't bomb out, he'll score full points. That
The
must be, yeah, like you
fingers
said, it's
across
really,
for no
really,
bombing out. Yeah.
yeah. You can just focus on having a good total and almost treating it like a local comp in that sense.
Correct. Correct. And look, like I said, even at USAPL Nationals last year, was the only person in his weight class as well. So it is challenging in that sense, especially powerlifting is like people say it's an individual sport. It's not. You're competing against other people. So when you don't have that element, it can be really really challenging. But like I said, he's an absolute unit, and he knows what he needs to do. So it's good.
Excellent. So let's assume 4 points for Jet Bolton, and then you got Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan Codlin, he's another good athlete. He's had a very busy year. So, look, this prep wasn't the best. It certainly wasn't the worst, but he's had a very very busy year. But I'm keen to see what he puts together on game day. He's also another weapon. He just mate, you tell him to do something, he'll do it. He'll run through a brick wall for you. So I'm very keen to see what he puts together on the day. So he's a 74 kilo lifter, and look, there's some good 74 kilo lifters in this class now. You got Brian Ong, Frank's coming down, and he's an absolute weapon. Love Frank. You got Dean. You got a lot of really really good competitors there. So I'm keen to see how Ryan goes. Look, I don't think he'll get top three, but maybe top four, maybe fifth place. We'll see how he goes. But yeah, overall, very very excited to see how he goes.
I mean, importantly, in the challengers bracket, those guys that you mentioned, they're lifting on day two. You know, Dean's lifting on day
Correct.
two,
Mm-hmm.
and Frank's lifting on day two as well. So good
Mm-hmm.
chances to score good points on day one at least. I mean, Brian Ong is
Correct.
clearly the favorite, but good chances to
Mm.
finish maybe second or third then.
Yeah, on day one, correct. But yeah, it's man, a few people have made comments on Brian Ong, like he's just an absolute weapon. So it's going to be cool to see what he can pull together on the day, and to see if he can continue to improve. Very very excited for that. But all in all, like I said, Ryan's training's been good. I think on day one he'll fare reasonably well, and we'll see how he goes.
Love it. Okay, and your next lifter, Dale.
Dale, we've got Connor in the 83 kilo class as
Oh
well.
yeah, let's
So
go fish. Let's
I'll,
go fish first.
mm,
Sorry, mate.
no, that's all right. Fish might feel a little upset that you left him out there, but
I was
apart
leaving
from
best
that,
to last. That's why I was
that's
jumping.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly,
we'll go
exactly.
with
Good
that.
save. Good save. But yes, Fish is one hell of an experiment for this prep. So he originally was doing a bit of his own thing for a short while, and then he requested to jump on the team, and I was like, hang on, like let's sort this out first. So we had a bit of a chat, and then he came on board to Elevate, and I was like, look, we'll see how you go, and if you become part of the team for team champs, fantastic. So his training started off really really well, which was cool, and then I made the decision relatively early on to bring him on board. But Fish has previously competed in higher weight classes, so he now coming down to 83 kilos. I think even with this prep alone, he would be dropping close to just over 10 kilos. So he's a cool experiment, and one of the reasons why I didn't want him to be on the team, because he does sprint cycling. He would have had a big weight cut, and it would have been cool to try and put that all together to see just how strong we can keep him or make him while doing all of that. Yeah, it's been fairly interesting so far. He was doing a decent volume of sprint cycling, which is ridiculously fatiguing, and then some distance stuff as well. Playing around with a few things. Later towards the end of the preps, or I'm just doing a little bit more of the high volume slow stuff, while peaking some of his strength training, while also dropping some weight. So had to go back into the archives and suss out a JP Kauki water cut video as well, so that was fun. But yeah, he's been an absolute blast to come through this prep. Strength's looking fantastic. There was quite a few technical changes we made with him, and look, the 83 kilo class is stacked. Whether we'll get a top four is questionable, but I honestly think for us, the main thing for Fish is just to race our own race and do our thing, and I'm just excited to see what he puts together with the challenges we faced with this prep.
It's always a big deal when someone drops a number of weight classes. Like, I mean, in previous in the USAP, I was lifting in the 100 kilo class, and now he's 83. So, like you said, well over 10 kilos, close to 15, 20 kilos by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a bit of a mystery, right? Like how much strength they're going to hold on to. And I'm sure you've got a pretty good idea of it.
Yeah, I mean, like so far, like I said, his lifts haven't been affected that much. I thought bench was going to take a huge hit. That has been able to be maintained really well. Probably a bit of a rogue decision to change his deadlift technique. Like 8, maybe 9 to 10 weeks out. So he was originally a conventional lifter. Very interesting tech historically. So wanted to mix things up and see what he could do as a sumo lifter. And again, bit of a risk. It started to click maybe 1 or 2 weeks out, so a little bit late to the party. But just in time. We'll see what happens. But like I said, he was one big experiment. Lots of different changes. Everything's been able to maintain really, really well. Now, come comp day, there's so many other variables that come into play. Will he make weight? I'm pretty confident he will. How did he go with being of that kind of new size? Lots of questions, but overall just very exciting to see how he packages everything together.
Excellent. And moving up the weight classes, you've got them almost all in a row. Dale at the 93s, just missing a 66. Yeah. But
I know. Dale, look, I love Dale, and he's probably the real, maybe the embodiment of the rehab side of things, because Dale, I've worked with him for a while, originally in a rehab sense. He pretty much struggled to body weight squat when I was first dealing with him in a rehab sense, and to see him come all this way to be able to tolerate, he was essentially, for lack of a better word, you don't want to say this about people, but he was broken, shoulder issues, knee issues, he couldn't do much of anything. You tried to get him, doing a 4 to 6 week block breakdown. So for him, it was largely about trying to put all the pieces together to see, how much we could get out of him. And he never really, he considered doing powerlifting, but I don't think he would ever have, you ask him 3-4 years ago if he would ever be in this kind of position, and I don't think he would say he would be. So for him, being able to see him, be able to squat, deadlift, bench, doing all these things with minimal to no pain has been unbelievable. So look, he's another one that's going down a weight class as well. Historically been at least another 10 kilos heavier. So he'll drop a weight class.
He hasn't got much competition experience, does he? I think he's only done one comp before. Is that right?
Correct. So he's done one comp in New South Wales. So I had to have someone handle him who did an outstanding job. But yes, he'll do. This will be his second competition. But it doesn't matter for him. He's so level-headed when it comes to these things. And again, you ask him to do something, he'll do it. He's just that type of individual. So, and now I think he's gotten a lot more confidence in his own ability. Again, being able to string together so many blocks of pain-free training. I think he's just ready. He's just ready to showcase it all, which has been good. And like I said, down a weight class, looking at like plus 30 on his total. Yeah, again, keen to see what happens. The 93 kilo class also has, I think it was the 83s, the 93s that had the most number of lifters total. It's yeah, there's a lot of really good lifters, but again, for Dale, it's largely about running his own race and seeing what he can put together after many speed humps. And again, even for his prep this time, he's been sick like 3 or 4 times. And like the man can barely get out of bed, and it's like, look, can you do this weight today? And he's like, I'll do it for you, and he gets it done. So again, very very excited to see how Dale goes. I feel like wherever he goes as well, he's a bit of a cult favorite. He's just Mr. Nice Guy, and I think everyone will just be happy to be around him in on comp day.
Excellent. That's great to hear. And yeah, I mean, it's incredible to hear the story of how much pain he was in and how incapable he was in terms of exercise and training. And something I learned very early in my career was like, if you can help people get out of pain, and that's not obviously my role, that's not my kind of skill set, but of course those things pop up, and I can still help people. And when you can help people get out of pain, it's like some of the best work you can do. And from a practitioner
100%.
point of view, it's also some of the most satisfying.
Yeah, and look, I've had my own fair share of issues and injuries and niggles, and it's been hard trying to troubleshoot that with coaches in the past. So when it comes to my perspective, being able to help athletes do that and be able to string together some things, and them being able to showcase what they can do, yeah, like you said, it's incredibly rewarding. So that's yeah, like I said, Dale encapsulates that rehab side of Elevate to a T. So it's been really really cool to see.
Excellent. Now, I wanted to ask you about your team overall, because your initial nominations was very different to the final nominations that we had.
Yeah, look, that might have been a bit lazy on my behalf. I think that was the exact same submissions that I did for the start of last year. So I don't think there was anything technical or tactical in that. It was just like, yep, sweet. Not 100% sure what my team is going to be just yet. We'll submit these and then get it going from there. And that was it. Because I think I had a few messages as well going, hey, like, what's happening? Got this message. Surely I'm not competing. And it's like, you're good. Settle down. It's that's my mistake. Probably should have said something earlier. Um, so yeah. Apart from that though, I think from that point it was like, yep, sweet. Not 100% sure. And then once I think I made all 4 changes, maybe at the first point. Yeah, after that, pretty much knew who the team was going to be and who we were going to roll with, and from there, didn't really change much.
Fair enough. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the Vinay's interview. That was only went up just the other day, and it was exactly the same thing. He just put in placeholders,
Yeah,
copy pastes from last year, and then same thing, was getting messages of like, I didn't know that I was competing.
yeah. Nice, good stuff for that.
It happens. Now, as you've
Yeah.
kind of alluded to, you got lifters in some of the most competitive groups, other than Jet, of course. And you guys were there last year. DB was there last year. You competed the year before. And last year and this year are the first years that we're running this kind of like challenges bracket, premier bracket type of deal. How do you kind of see the day panning out? I mean, I know you're a competitive person overall, but of course, like, you probably wouldn't identify as like a full-time powerlifting specific kind of guy. That's not your like
Mm,
number one thing, I suppose, because you are a bit
yeah.
broader than that. But how important is it for you to kind of score well in this competition overall, or
Mm,
even if it's not this year, in the future, try to elevate yourselves up into the premier bracket? Or is that just not even like something you think about, and it's just like you just love to participate? It's good for the team, it's good
mm.
for the community, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So look, great question. I think, um, look, there's so many really good teams. I'm sure all the other interviews have probably said similar. There's a whole bunch of really good teams coming into the mix. I think for Elevate, um, yeah, we don't necessarily see ourselves as being super competitive in terms of like coming top 4 on the day. But in saying that, where competition is to be had, we'll bring it. It's not about just coasting through. Where we have an opportunity to place higher, we certainly will place higher. And at the end of the day, opportunities arise, people slip up. If there's an opportunity for us to gain extra points where possible, we certainly will. So I think for us, I think the most important thing is for the individual lifters is to focus on themselves, let them be able to achieve what they can achieve and what they've worked hard for, and then it's my job to kind of dictate where we go competitively. And if like I said, if there's the opportunity that arises where we can potentially go up a few placings, even if it's not for additional points, we'll certainly take that. We're not just going to kind of lie down and let things happen. So I think that's the most important thing. And I don't think we'll be too different in terms of the points accrued from last year. Anyways, I think last year might have been 11 or 12 points or something like that. I don't think we'll be too far off that this year. So yeah, the goal is to be competitive where possible and do the best we can.
Love it, mate. I love it. Before we hit record, you kind of mentioned that you love the comp and you love the concept of team champs. Last year you guys had your well, I'm sorry, it's just slipped me now because the camera's on.
Our first comp is DBHP, I suppose. Yeah.
No, but I mean, last year you guys had your lifting podcast. You guys love talking about it. I love listening
Yes.
to them. You guys love engaging. And one of the challenges that I found this year as a meet director was trying to recruit teams. When I put out the the expressions of interest, I was getting in contact with a lot of clubs, a lot of coaches that I knew of, whether they were like small time kind of like online coaches, whether they were gyms, interstate, and saying, "Hey man, I'd love for you to come and do our comp." And a lot of the answers I was getting from people was like, "Hey, we're not quite ready just yet," or we're really busy," or "some of our best lifters will be away at Worlds," or like all this kind of stuff. And a lot of the sentiment I was getting is like, "We can't put together the best team possible, so we'll just sit out for now." Whereas, which is contrary to the advice that a lot of us as coaches give our clients, where they say, "I'm not ready to lift yet," and you say, "No, of course you can do a comp. Like you're never strong enough. You just get involved." And I guess that's kind of like vibe that I'm getting from you. Like you acknowledge that like you're not going to be the top team this year, but you're super enthusiastic. Like as soon as EOIs went out, like I heard from you, and you're like, "Yep, we're keen. I'm going to put together. I don't even know who it's going to be, but I'm going to find you a four because
right.
I want to be there." So why is it that you think that's so important, and what's your message to these clubs that are not putting their teams forward for next year?
Yeah, look, I think you said it point blank there. I completely agree. You don't necessarily have to have all your best lifters or the best performance. And look, I mean, most of these teams could turn around and go, well, we're not coming number one overall, so what's the point? But as I mentioned before the potty, it is a great comp. I think it's something that really does bring a step up from your typical local competition. It's a great vibe. Everyone gets around everyone. The team format is really exciting. Powerlifting can feel like such a solo sport sometimes, and even for lifters like Jet, for example, who typically competes on his own in his own weight class, doesn't have that level of competition. I feel like it can really be an awesome platform for lifters exactly like that, who can feel as part of a bigger team, and be able to accrue points. And yeah, like I said, it's just a vibe. It's a good day. There's so many people that come down. I think it brings a ridiculous crowd. Everyone's involved. Yeah, I love it. And so even though I didn't know, what team I was going to field, and even like moving more into kind of the S&C space, so even having a few of powerlifters drop off, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, how many people could I actually kind of pick from? It was still a bit of a non-negotiable, and it was like, sweet, let's do this. I think it's going to be fun. Let's get it going. So yeah, it's a great comp, and it's something that I do love to be a part of.
I appreciate you making the effort to bring a team because, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a big deal for me. I want to have lots of teams there, and like you said, it brings it brings a community together in a way I think that not a lot of comps do. Like when I go to local comps, obviously a lot of the gyms will send small teams. Like there might
Yeah.
be 3 or 4 from this club or 6 or 7 from that club, but to have kind of one weekend where more or less all the clubs in Melbourne, bar a couple, are there. It's a nice way to like catch up with all your friends and like, I see you guys, like when I see you guys, I mean the other coaches as like my colleagues, right? Like we're
We're
colleagues
in
in
this
this.
together.
What's that? Yeah, yeah,
We're in this together. That's it.
exactly right. I see you guys as my colleagues in this industry or profession, but we don't get to work together very often because, like I said, you go to a local company, there might only be two or three other like established coaches that are there. So to have everyone there together at the same time, there's a lot of talk about going out for drinks on Saturday night, which I'm really looking forward to. It's fun.
Yeah. Look, my head already is starting to hurt. So we'll see how we go.
David, you're showing your age. Please stop.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes.
All right. And I guess it's time that we roll into your predictions. I know you're a fan. I know you've looked at this at the other teams. I don't know if you've got your spreadsheet this year, but what are you kind of expecting from day one, and then what are you expecting overall?
Yeah. I think I think it's going to be interesting. I think for day one, look, I only listened to two of the interviews, but I'd probably mimic what they kind of highlight or what they think as well. I mean, at the end of the day, for day one, Compound's bringing a great team. Jack is an excellent coach. I don't think he'll be there on the day. But yeah, he has an awesome team. I think he'll do really well. Process. So Alex Hayes, again, he's competing as well. So it'd be good to see him competing, plus bring his team. I think they're top two easily. In terms of third and fourth place, probably between you guys, Avia. Maybe another team can sneak in there. So I think that might be the rough top four in day one, and then day two. Yeah, look, it's really difficult to look past a team like ESS. Great coach, great coaches, great team, great club. They're yeah, it's very very hard to look past them as being number one. Apex hold an awesome team as well, so they would definitely be top two. Three onwards would be a little bit interesting to see, but look, I'd probably have to put Uplift in there. I think again, great club. I know Charles is taking over for the day, and I have full confidence that he's going to be an outstanding game day coach, fill in for Victor. So I'd probably put them in the top three for sure.
Interesting prediction for sure. I mean, like you said, echoing some of the other predictions, ESS towards the top, Process and Compound, although on day one, probably will have a good crack too, and will also sneak into some good spots, are likely to sneak into the Premier bracket, I should say, for the year
For
following,
sure.
but we're also going to be competitive overall. And
Mhm.
Apex, you want to watch, like, they've obviously got Tony Reinmuth, similar story as Jet. I mean, there's two in his class, but it should be a pretty clear 200 kilo victory. So some guaranteed points there. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, it's interesting because while there have been some sentiments echoed and
Mm.
repeated, there are some that are just like a little bit unhinged and from left field. But then when you look
We
at it,
love
you're
the
like, actually, it's not too unrealistic. It's not
yeah,
unrealistic for some of these
yeah.
classes where you think, oh, this guy's going to win, but like it's not
Are they?
100%. It's like 70%, and that's all
Yeah,
it takes.
exactly. So, and that's the thing as well. So, all it takes sometimes is a mishap. I mean, I think when I was looking at it, like say for instance, Dean is a really good lifter, but if he drops his squat and final deadlift, he loses a decent total, especially with people who make big jumps and then someone else can take their place. So there's plenty of opportunity. Everyone has the same idea on paper because it's like we expect someone to win, we expect someone to do this, but competition brings so many other variables into the mix, and all it takes is someone to bomb out or miss a lift or two, and it goes on its head. So um, yeah, on paper, very different to how it then maybe pans out on game day, and but that's the joy of it. That's the one big thing about this kind of competition is that that's all it takes. It's one little mishap, one athlete not doing their part, and all of a sudden you've gone from first to fourth or not on the podium at all. So it yeah, there are some athletes where you can be pretty confident they'll come first, but again, you just never know.
You never know, exactly as you said that. That's why you have to compete. I'll leave with you one anecdote and one quick story. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the recent IPF bench worlds, but there was a
Mm,
class, I think it was the 93 M2s. I could be wrong in the equipped, and there's only four lifters in the category, and the three heaviest openers, so the three that you'd expect to win, they all bombed out. And so the only guy, Stephen Bradbury, his way through, had the weakest opener, but he made his opener, at least. I
Yep.
don't know if he got his second or third, I can't even remember.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he's the
yeah.
world champion.
He got on the board. He got on the board, and that's all that mattered. So if you compete, you're there.
If you're there, exactly right. You have to be there.
That's
You've
right.
got to be in it to win it type
Even
of deal.
the Aussie Olympian, the skater, same thing. You know, he was
Stephen Bradbury,
there.
that's exactly it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you already mentioned his name, but yeah, exactly. Same kind of thing. So if you're there, you compete, and like I said before, like we don't expect Elevate to maybe go up, but on the day of, things happen, shit happens, and if the opportunity
We'll
arises, we'll
take your
be there.
chances if they're there.
That's it. Yeah.
Love to hear it. Mr. David Barros, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Good to catch up with you as always, and good to hear about your team and what you're expecting this year. And I'll see you this Saturday, mate.
Yeah, let's get it.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.